With that, we have the team that emerged from our wild card round from Louisiana State University, FarmSmarter.ai.
No doubt. Thank you for the kind introduction. Definitely go Tigers. Hello, everybody. We are FarmSmarter.ai. My name is Colin Raby, FarmSmarter CEO.
My name is Grant Muslow, CTO, and I'm getting my master's in artificial intelligence.
My name is Cola Coleman, a third-generation farmer and pursuing my agricultural consultant's license. So, farmers make a lot of decisions every year. They are the backbone of America, and what they do is extremely complex. They have to go through a ton of regulatory compliance burdens with razor-thin margins. So let me just give you an example of one little issue that we might have to solve. In a field, usually I go and I might have to identify a weed that can actually choke out my crop if we don't manage it correctly. If the weed goes unidentified, I'll have to search through a lot of general info or have to ask around from other farmers and consultants in my area. Usually they'll point me to a 500-page Ag Center manual that I have to find the active ingredient to best manage this pest in my specific crop with my crop-specific genetic resistance trait. Now I have to research what products I have to buy that have that specific active ingredient. Now I have to go and then research how and when to apply that specific product. And guess what? I have to do this multiple times a year, every single year, because new chemistries and research are constantly coming out. And on top of that, the ESA just recently came out with a new compliance regulation that is about 250 pages thick.
Plus.
As you can imagine, this is all very time-consuming. It's extremely frustrating. We spend a ton of money on these inputs in our crops. So there's no wonder why there's over 3,000 agricultural consultant companies in the United States alone. No wonder why the estimated market for agricultural consulting is so large. So we aim to automate this entire process through FarmSmarter.ai.
Exactly. We decided to ask the question, what if the entire problem that Cole laid out at the beginning could be solved with modern technology? And that's why we set about to create FarmSmarter.ai and our flagship, Farmer AI. Farmer AI is a virtual agricultural assistant right in the palm of your hand. He can give you personalized recommendations for the specific challenges your farm or field face, considering integrated pest and weed management practices and a lot of other information so that to save you time and money in optimizing the output of your field. So, let's take the example Cole gave. If he was using Farmer AI, he could have just taken a picture of the weed. Farmer AI would have said, this is the weed it is, and then he could have put in some information about his farm, and Farmer AI would have given him a detailed action plan for exactly what to use, how to use it, and it would incorporate all this information about the local weather, local regulations, and everything that he has to know. And we created Farmer AI through our one-of-a-kind agentic agricultural intelligence platform. So Farmer AI has access to all different types of information, whether it's local research documents coming out of your local extension service, whether it is documents from the huge departments like the EPA and the USDA, or whether it's a ton of different tools that integrate weather and other live components, so when it's giving you the plan, it's customized for not only where you are, but when you're making that plan. And we look to continue making Farmer AI even smarter. So, our tool can provide value throughout the agricultural industry. However, we're going to start as B2B, targeting the agricultural consultants and the ag business. While our tool in the long run will provide great value for small farmers, many of which can't even afford a consultant right now, so don't have access to any agricultural intelligence, we're starting, most of our current clients are the agricultural consultants themselves, because this is helping them do what they do better. It's saving them time and helping them make more money, because they can spend less time at their desk doing research and more job getting new clients and go out and scouting fields. Additionally, with the big ag businesses, whether it's fertilizer analysis, I'll mention Waters later, where we can take all of their data and come up with a comprehensive plan for what to do with all the tests that they're getting from the fields. Or just general sales information for these complex pesticide companies and integrating all this different agricultural data. In summary, FarmSmarter.ai will save thousands of hours and millions of dollars by avoiding the misapplication and misuse of pesticides, shortening the time it takes to solve the most complex agricultural problems, reducing negative environmental impacts, increasing the use of safe and sustainable practices, all while seamlessly ensuring regulatory compliance with the most up-to-date regulations. So, after winning our university's pitch competition last year, we got to work making our minimum viable product, Farmer.ai, and launching him just 2 weeks ago. And now we're realizing it, we're getting all this phenomenal feedback of ways we can use this central agricultural intelligence engine to solve so many other opportunities in the field of agriculture. So now we're looking to build out the platform to really capture the opportunities before us. So if you go onto the App Store right now, you can find FarmSmarter.ai. You can also type FarmSmarter.ai into your search bar and find our website. A really great example, this was what Blaine is a 5th-generation farmer who's worked with all sorts of different consultants. He was one of our first beta testers and has been using it for months, is now one of our most active testers. And we asked him for some feedback before coming here. And he said that not only had it recently given him a specific and detailed breakdown, but in his opinion, it was as good or if not better than the consultants that he's worked with. So when it comes to going to market, as mentioned, we are a SaaS B2B. All of these ag centers and the consultants and the businesses and even the farmers themselves run very complex businesses, and we're helping them be more profitable. We also want to create microservices like APIs so that industry leaders can incorporate our agricultural intelligence engine into their software, and have enterprise, like what I'm about to mention with Waters, to make fine-tuned custom versions of our system for them with their information. As well, we want to negotiate deals of access management. We want to get independent university validation and partnerships with ag agents and such that people already trust in the industry.
There are a couple of services out there, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, that upon first glance can look a little bit similar to what we're doing here at FarmSmarter. Well, let me tell you why we knocked them out of the park on every single agricultural specific benchmark. First off, our system gives agricultural specific, highly specific agricultural answers that are backed by databases and databases of agricultural specific information, including 16,000 EPA-approved pesticide labels. On top of that, our system is agentic, meaning that it is able to call agricultural specific tools that these other foundation models just do not have access to. As well, our system has a photo identification system that is able to identify weeds, pests, insects, and everything else that would come up in your farm. And finally, you can literally draw out your field and analyze your geospatial data so that you're able to really get the correct information for your field.
And I'd like to highlight here one of our more direct competitors, FBN. FBN recently came out with a chatbot that they like to call Norm. So I went to it and I tested it out and I asked it this question: should I use glyphosate on Johnson grass in Louisiana? And not only does it give you a wrong answer, but it actually tries to sell you the product and make a profit off of you.
It turns out both of these products would be most profitable for them. However, Johnson grass is resistant to glyphosate in most of Louisiana, so it's not actually a helpful answer. Well, if you compare that to our system, not only will it give you an accurate and correct answer identifying that there's glyphosate resistance, but it will give you very specific information on not only what to apply, when to apply it, how to apply it, safety considerations, and other considerations that you need to know if you're going to actually use this product. And if you doubt it, you can check it. It's all cited, and it'll show you exactly where in the local literature or the regulatory documents the information comes from. How are we able to do this? This is a very simplified diagram of our agentic network that allows for unprecedented accuracy, speed, and affordability. We are really fortunate to be getting a lot of great feedback from both tech and ag, and were recently presented at the Louisiana Association of Agricultural Consultants, where from then, we're now in talks with major ag companies about doing a partnership. Everyone from the Ag Center to the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, Syngenta, BASF, and Waters Ag Labs, who recently sent us all of their different nutrient information so that we could run a beta test that's now being reviewed by the leading soil scientist of Louisiana, and as soon as we hear back there, we expect to close a deal with Waters. Some of the critical risks we face are inaccuracies and laggard adaptation primarily. On the inaccuracies front, while we have our citations and automatic updates, because of our innovative architecture, in our initial testing, because all the results are grounded, we've had a 0% hallucination rate in all of our initial testing, and we're continuing to create even more tests to really push our system. And with laggard adaptation, we really want to make it an economic no-brainer and partner with those trusted entities to use this and be super spreaders within agriculture. We have a development pipeline for our system that we'd love to get into more in questions. We're looking to raise $600,000, but in the last 48 hours, we won the Louisiana Pelican Cup and their elevator pitch and got an SIF grant. So now we're asking for $513,000. Thank you. We're happy to get into this morning questions. Our exit potential is huge because of a couple people that have preceded us in the industry. We really see an opportunity to build out this platform and then partner with a major ag player. These are our projections that we're happy to get into more where those came from of our sales projections. We look forward to building the platform for agricultural intelligence. Together with our advisors and your support, we're going to help everyone farm smarter. If you scan that, it'll bring you to our app or our website, by the way.
Great work. Let's go to Heath Butler from Mercury.
Hey guys, great presentation. Can you tell us more about the business model and a little bit more about the source of the data feeding the databases that you're using?
Absolutely. So I'll speak about the business model and then hand it off to Grant. So our business model breaks down into two major sources, straight to the consultants and straight to the ag businesses. For the consultants, eventually the pricing will go up, but right now we want to get the super spreaders and basically the people that otherwise would have been beta testers but are willing to pay for our service. So we're currently at $50 a month or $500 a year, which most consultants, when we talk to them, say, that's it? And that's exactly what we want, because we want them to start using it to gain that industry trust, and because they talk to so many people, they're going to be our super spreaders, and then we can obviously modify that down the road. And secondarily is creating custom systems like the one we talked about for Waters Ag, where we can create a custom system based on their data, their sufficiency ranges and stuff like that, so that they can use it for their customers, charge them an upfront cost for making a custom system, and then charge them monthly depending on how many people would use it.
Let's go to Shandu.
For the second part of it.
Sorry.
No?
Oh, yeah, so for our data acquisition, so we have our the Environmental Protection Agency. They release all of their pesticide information that we have access to, and local institutions every year will publish the most up-to-date research that they have. So we collect all of that data on the side, as well as we process it. And on top of that, like based off of your query, you can add information, so that can be like spreadsheets, pictures, PDFs, etc., that we process on our back end. We probably actually showed that in our flow chart. I mean, there's so many different pieces of information that we're able to collect, and we're able to, because we have an agentic system, we're able to, we don't have to have one perfect solution that works for every single agent. We can have like a specialized agent that has this type of data, and then the specialized agent for this type of data, and etc. So it's really powerful. Sorry?
So the proprietary component isn't the data itself, it's how we are able to process it and make it useful. So right now, if you go on to see those labels, there's 16,000 PDFs with complex tables and complex graphics that if you just put that into Gemini, if you just put that into ChatGPT, it's actually not going to understand a lot of the semantic meaning of what a lot of that means. But we've created an OCR pipeline that not only pulls the updated PDFs, but is able to process them and turn them into a format that our agentic AI system is able to understand.
So other enterprise solutions also can give us their proprietary data. We create a custom model for them and have a custom pricing plan for them, and then they can manage who has access to that new model that we just created. They're our enterprise deal.
Shandu.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Soil analysis, water analysis, are there other real problems that farmers have? Because this sounds like it solves a big problem, but they could need consultants for the others?
Yeah.
So for soil, to answer your question about the soil analysis, what Waters does, they actually go collect a core sample of your soil and use chemicals to read the nutrients that's in it, but they don't tell you how and what to apply. If you put their nutrient samples in our model, it'll tell you exactly what fertilizers to use, how many pounds of them, and how many pounds per acre. And soon with our GIS feature, we'll actually be able to make a map of variable rate applications.
And so just an example actually from a recent conference we went to, if you go back to that last page, it was interesting, someone asked, hey, because your model's trained on all this, can it do accurate soil analysis? And we said, great question, let's try. And so that, you see, I took a picture of their phone where they had a recent soil test, and I gave it to FarmSmarter.ai, and then it was able to produce a plan, if we go on to the next slide here, that was able to say exactly what was needed, exactly what they needed to do, and process it. And that's how the conversation started with Waters. And now we went in and fine-tuned it so it can handle hundreds and hundreds of these data points, synthesize them, and put them into an actionable plan.
We're going to go up to the right.
Here, go back to the names.
Hi, I'm Amy Tran. I'm just curious from an agentic AI perspective, are you using any type of open source tools like LangChain?
When we had our very first product 2 years ago, we were using LangChain because it was stupid easy to use, and we're students learning how to construct these complex machines and whatnot, but since then we have much evolved from a simple link chain application.
We phased it out.
Yes.
Go in the middle.
Yeah, what's your total addressable market, and can you quantify the benefit to that market in terms of time save, cost save, et cetera?
Absolutely. So we looked at our market a lot, and it really depends on which stage of our business we're talking about market-wise. But the initial market here, this is agricultural consulting. So as we said, there are over 3,300 agricultural consulting companies. Each of these companies has between 1 and 15,000 agricultural consultants that work there. And so there's about 30,000 licensed agricultural consultants in the United States. So as we're marketing to them, there's an initial tranche, again, because they're going to be our super spreaders, they're going to be our initial, basically paid beta testers that can help us really get the proof we need when we're talking to some of these big companies, and then down the road to expand to individual farms and such and be able to target them because they'll have the market awareness of our product. So it depends on which stage we're talking about, but right now these are the numbers that we're shooting at for the immediate future of the market.
I'm going to go up to the right over here.
A couple questions. First, so you're sitting on top of an LLM.
I can only give you one question, just,
Okay.
sorry.
So your system is sitting on top of an available LLM, is that right? Like like OpenAI or something like that?
A bunch of different, if we want to switch to this, yes. So each agent has its own, we're good? Yeah. So each agent has its like own LLM that like kind of powers it to make decisions on what tools to call, what other agents to go to. And as I said, it's a very simplified diagram because I didn't want to write 15 circles on there. It wouldn't fit in the PowerPoint.
And so to really address your question, because I think sometimes the proof's really in the pudding here. So what you're kind of talking about sitting on top, that could be classified as like a GPT wrapper, right? Where you take custom OpenAI API and you just build a front end around it. Well, there are some people that have recognized the problem and they've done that. They've built a GPT wrapper. And we can see how that works if we have FBN and Coulter AI, right? We see this, and if we go to the next slide, we can see what the OpenAI response is that's effectively identical to that. And the problem is it's not tailored, it's not actionable, it's just generic information. Whereas if you compare the exact same question with our system, you will see that it is specific information. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. We can go to specific information about the actual thing to use, how much to use, and then you can see if we go to the citations of it, it found the exact part in this ag guide where the specific information from that it comes from. Because we have this complex agentic architecture that goes way beyond, we actually use 4 different LLMs in different parts of the structure.
Okay, so are you saying then, based on your use of these different LLMs and agentic AI, which I mean you can get off the shelf agentic AI as well, but is there some barrier to entry because of your secret sauce that would otherwise prevent Monsanto from using the same sort of LLM and agentic AI?
There's a reason why there's no labels on each one of these different arrows, is because it is very, very difficult to do and to get this system working with these agricultural tools that are inherently very archaic.
So we highlighted these specifically. The entire system of all these agents working together is special and a bit proprietary of how we're able to get them to check each other to get our level of accuracy. But we highlighted the parts specifically that took us a lot of time because there were no off-the-shelf solutions. There was no way to do these parts of this architecture that are specifically needed for agriculture. Whether it's processing the labels like we talked about earlier, or doing the soil sufficiency that's just not out there, that you need additional levels, right, of where a lot of kind of the secret sauce lies in a couple of these things. We always joke, I don't know how many people in the audience have seen deep research come out in a couple of these AI labs. Well, we had this going in December, about a month before all this deep research was coming out, and so we kind of speculate that parts of our system are very similar to the deep research of ag.
Mike.
Yeah, so you gave us a suggestion to look on the App Store, and I see your app, and I see FarmSmarter by FarmSmarter Limited.
Like the FarmSmarter app, you mean? Does it say FarmSmarter
no, you
app?
have FarmSmarter.ai, and then there is a FarmSmarter that appears to be FarmSmarter Limited. Is that a competitor? Is that just a different version of yours?
No.
What's going on?
So it's actually a completely different thing that works in Africa that does some supply chain management. It doesn't do any of what we do. We do recognize that marketing-wise, that's not ideal, and we've been discussing whether or not it's worth changing some of our naming for it. With the trademark office, we're all good. We're good because they don't even operate in the United States. So we're all good there. So the conversation we have been having is, should we change it even just for marketing? But legally, trademark, we're all good. Yep.
I had a follow from one of Heath's questions, which was you're ingesting data from different published data sources. Have you gone to all those data sources to see if you need any particular license to be able to essentially like resell their content? I'm just kind of curious if you've circled up and checked all those sources for any of those kind of licensing issues.
Yes, so we made sure to check all of the sources of data that we use, and actually we've been thrilled that a lot of the researchers that this information is being put, they've been 100% on board. They love it, because one of the headaches for them is that they do all this great research, they put it in a document that then never gets read. Whereas our system, when you ask the question and that's pertinent, it can direct them to their research. And so every one of them that we've showed this to is like, thank you guys for doing this, because this is making our research matter. This is putting our research in the hands of people that need it. And so that component of liability, whether it's from the USDA, whether it's the EPA, whether it's these research institutions, is all, you don't need a license for any of it.
With that, we got to wrap up. Thank you to Team FarmSmarter.ai. Now, before we cut out to a break, we're going to come back at 2:40.